Well, it is happening that Ukraine's membership talks are now going to move forward, and that is a result of that election in Hungary. Viktor Orban was blocking that for a long time. However, Peter Magyar's victory in that election did not necessarily mean that Hungary was going to end its block on Ukraine's accession, because Peter Magyar is also very skeptical about the idea of Ukraine becoming an EU member state. And he actually insisted on sticking to the 10 points that Viktor Orban was insisting on. The difference, of course, is that for Viktor Orban, the opposition was really seen to be a result of actually his alliance with Moscow, his friendliness with Moscow, whereas with Peter Magyar, he had to satisfy long-standing bad blood between Hungary and Ukraine over the issue of the Hungarian minority in Transcarpathia. That's a part of Ukraine that was part of Hungary for 1,000 years, then was part of Czechoslovakia, then the USSR added it to Ukraine. Hungary has kind of historical grievances about that, and so it was seen that he really had to get some guarantees from Ukraine. What he was able to get in a meeting on Monday was guarantees that the Hungarian minority will once again be able to use their language in school. That was something that Ukraine blocked nationwide earlier, a couple years ago, saying that only Ukrainian could be used in schools, and also that they were going to allow them to display Hungarian symbols, which was not allowed before. And so that is why we have this announcement now from Peter Magyar that, okay, he's going to end that block, that veto on on Ukraine's steps toward becoming an EU member state. However, he said that in the time that when Ukraine would finish this process and be ready to become an EU member state, which Magyar said would be 10 to 15 years, he would then have to hold, or whoever the prime minister of Hungary is at that time, would need to hold a referendum in Hungary to approve that. So it's really a begrudging acceptance. And don't forget that each step in this accession process requires unanimous approval. So Hungary or any other country can veto each step in the process. So it's a big milestone for Ukraine, but actually the language coming from Peter Magyar is actually going to be quite discouraging for Kyiv, which has been hoping for fast-track membership. Magyar has completely ruled that out.
Indeed. I'm hearing from what you're saying, Dave, there are many obstacles to be overcome. Moldova as well, hoping to get into that same momentum to go forward. So what are the next steps likely to be?
Yeah, Moldova's EU accession is much less contentious. I think the general attitude is Moldova will eventually be in the EU. It's just a question of whether they do so through unification with Romania or as a new member state. The problem for Moldova is that their accession has been linked to Ukraine's. And so one can't move forward without the other. That's been seen as a way to put pressure on other member states to move Ukraine forward because it's linked to Moldova. But however, it has very clearly been holding Moldova back in its process. So Moldova will also now move to the next round of EU accession talks. But, as we go forward, if we do have another problem in another one of these steps, again, Moldova is going to be asking why they're linked to Ukraine in this process. They have obviously a lot in common. They're neighbors. They were both former Soviet states. However, Moldova comes with a lot less complicated issues in terms of being an EU member state than Ukraine does. Nevertheless, Moldova will also be very happy that this latest hurdle has been overcome, and now they can move forward with this next chapter of accession talks.
Dave Keating, thank you very much indeed. We wait to see how these things develop, but Dave, they're very clear on the obstacles that need to be overcome before Ukraine can get into the EU. Moldova's accession perhaps less complicated, but still there is a way to go.